We're probably live now. Hi, I'm Eric Allen. This is Genesis or Genesisn't. I'm here with Joe Drilling.
I'm Joe Drilling, and I'm here with MC Banjo Mike Ailes.
Hello there. How do you do?
Oh no, it's auto playing in the background.
No.
All right, I fixed it.
Nice.
All right. So also Alex Rio's here.
Hi.
Hey, what's up,
I'm
buddy?
playing Monster Hunter, which definitely Genesisn't.
What? I like that game. Anyway.
Oh, I do too. It's just not available on the Genesis.
That's true. Genesis isn't available on this particular system. Anyway, tonight I'm gonna restart this because there's a cool cutscene, and I really like the logo build that they do with this. But this is Akira, as Dan Rickert calls it.
Like the car?
Yes. Like it's what is that? Is that Toyota or Honda's high like whatever?
I couldn't tell you.
Lexus.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think it's Honda's.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Anyways, my mouse cursor's on the screen too. I don't know. I haven't streamed in a long time, so anyway, this is Akira.
It's been at least like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. So
that actually looks really good for a Genesis game. The opening.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. Not bad. Not a bad title drop.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I really like the when he drives by and like shoots the Sega thing.
Zaps the logo.
Yeah, I really like that.
I couldn't hear it go like zap zap.
It makes like a whooshing noise. Attack,
Your mouse
punch,
cursor is
defend,
back
kick,
on the screen.
Special. What's that? Oh.
Your mouse cursor is back on the screen.
I don't know why that's turned on by default.
Isn't there an option in OBS to just like hide it no matter?
Yeah, well, I mean, it should be, but it's like usually you would think that it would be turned off, but I don't know how to turn it off. Anyway, I'll just try not to scroll back into where you can see it. Anyways, so this game never came out.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I don't know how finished is this, Joe? There's a long post about it on what's the name of the website?
Hiddenpalace.org.
Hiddenpalace.org, where you can read all about it. But they dropped it on Christmas last year, and this is like one of the like holy grails of unreleased video games that people have known about for a long time.
Yeah, this was one that there's also a Game Boy, I want to say, version. So this says it's an early prototype, according to...
Right. So there's no sound effects or music in the motorcycle scene, apparently.
Well, we could all all of us could just take turns going like... Well, not.
As they pull a wheelie.
I was going to ask why you're not wearing a red jacket, but then I realized I think you're actually supposed to be Tetsuo at this point.
Yeah. Neo Tokyo, right down the road.
It's about to
EXPLODE. Yeah, that's correct.
Watch out for the hypersonic effect.
Mm-hmm. So this is a pretty good movie. I don't know how well it translates to a video game.
It's been a long time since I've seen this movie.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've watched it, but the last time it hasn't been so long that I was young enough that I think that I was wrong about it the last time I watched it.
It's probably been 15 or more years since I've seen it. So
I've definitely
I watched it like
than that.
sometime within the past 3 years, and that was like the first time I'd ever actually seen it from beginning to end, rather than just like parts of it, and it was fine.
Okay,
like it was 40% of a good mini series.
Well, right. That's the problem. The story is actually way bigger than would fit into 120 minutes. But still,
and it's not the 40% that all goes together.
Right. But I mean, it's fine. And it also, like, for a film that was still made in an era of completely hand-drawn animation.
Oh, it looks fucking
that movie
incredible.
is fucking amazing looking, right? Like the story is a little cobbled together because it's sliced and diced from a much larger comic book story. It'd be like if they took the first 100 issues of Spider-Man and tried to make a 90-minute movie out of all of the plot that happens in the first 100 issues of Spider-Man.
Hold on a second.
And have it make sense.
This is very important. I need to turn the music up.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. That's extremely good.
You just do that forever?
It's like the level select.
Oh, I thought you were like paging through some dialogue really fast or something.
So this was made by Black Pearl Software, as we saw at the beginning, right?
Yes, of course. Famous for their Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah. I think it was like the Curse of the Black, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Curse.
So actually, it was like their studio disbanded, and then all right, look, fuck it, this joke's done. All right, let's go.
All right, see you later. The show's over, I guess.
They made some
Not
games...
the show, just my dumb joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good joke when you have to announce that it's over, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm just gonna abort, cut all my losses.
Sorry, Joe. What were you saying?
I was saying that they developed a handful of games, some of which are like sort of well regarded, some of which maybe like less so.
Oh man. I didn't realize there was a first person section in this game, but my god. Check out this fucking hand.
What is happening?
They did like the
Oh shit.
Yeah, so that was part of the thing, is that like every level is a different gameplay style. Or maybe not every level, but many of the levels are a different gameplay style. So this is
near.
This is Shitty Rise of the Triad, apparently. And I think this is you're playing as Tetsuo escaping the hospital.
Oh shit. Holy shit. Exploded that nurse.
Yeah, you sure did. That's like the opposite of Exorcist 3. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Shout out to George C. Scott.
Yep. So, yeah, they made like the Sequest game.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Their highest regarded work, yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Right. Yeah, for the Genesis version, not the Super NES or Game Boy versions, lest you be, confused.
There are 3 Sequest games?
There are 3 Sequest games.
Are they based on the popular Adult Swim cartoon?
No, that's a C-Lab.
C-Lab, dog.
Yeah, I know.
But they made the PGA Tour games for EA for the Genesis that were like pretty well regarded, I think.
Oh, there we go. Okay, you can turn. You have to hold C to turn. Okay, so it's not a picture of somebody. It's actually supposed to be somebody in a bed.
Oh, I thought it was like a TV.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so this was an American game for the American market based on a Japanese movie on a Japanese gaming. Like, there were anime games that we never got in the US, obviously. There's like a Yu Yu Hakusho fighting game that actually I believe is currently considered to scientifically be one of the 100 best fighting games of all time.
The fuck said that?
And
people who
a couple
are,
scientists.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Lab coats, you know how it is.
And a scientist assistant.
That's right. One junior scientist. Yeah. He doesn't have a lab coat yet or anything.
Are you saying that a lab coat is like your stripes in the army? You got to earn your lab coat?
I mean, that's just what I've been told by some people who
Apparently
practice
turning
fighting
there
game science.
crashes the game, so.
Well, there you go. So
We get to see the
reset
logo
it, man.
again.
Yep. Yeah. So there were anime games that we didn't see in America, but it is quite strange to me that this is an American-developed anime game that never came out.
This was the anime, though, to see.
It was.
This was.
Yeah.
There were commercials for
absolutely.
this, like back in the early night, like they were like late night like infomercials where they had like a
Not
giant
your
red
mom's cartoons.
VHS box that you could get for Akira.
Yeah, this was one of the first like non-G-rated anime films to play in theaters in the United States.
Man, check out this
Um,
cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty impressive for Genesis. The cutscenes are the graphics of like Canada doesn't really look good.
How do you feel about this?
Sequence.
How do you feel about this ducking animation?
It's a real good squat there.
Yeah, I mean, looks like he's about to use a Japanese style toilet to take a dump. Which, by
this
the
guy's
way,
just walking and shooting in the sewer.
Don't recommend.
Just hitting stuff in the air.
Well, there's that whole sequence in the sewers where the military is like chasing them and stuff.
How do I get that gun over there?
I don't remember Canada gunning down any security guards or military guys.
Well, it happened, or else it wouldn't be in the game. This guy is shooting me through a wall, which is fun.
It makes total sense, but I really like that there's like a pill power up. That makes it's too good. Yeah, good job.
I was trying to see if I could hit that rat, but
I was gonna say I like that you're kicking this rat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did that do it for you, Alex?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I just spent like 10 minutes like shooting a dinosaur
With a gun.
with a gun that is a lance. So
It's because of assholes like you that I never get to see dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You gotta be fast, dude. It's the fucking Wild West out here.
So how does this play, Eric? Does it feel good at all, or
no.
is it like
It
no?
looks awful.
It's not good. A little time copy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oof. Time Cop for the Super NES, I assume you mean by that.
I don't know. Was there a Genesis version of that?
Maybe? I don't know.
Very stiff.
Yeah, I mean, this is also pretty early, so it feels harsh to judge a game this early in development, but on the other hand, Black Pearl Software, like I was saying, was not responsible for a lot of games that you would say like,
oh wow,
oh yeah, that's super good. Like, they did the Genesis port of Time Killers.
Yeah, that's
which is like an extremely bad fighting game. They did the Game Boy version along with Real Time Associates. They partnered for the Game Boy version of Star Wars Super Return of the Jedi.
How do you think I get back out of this doorway? Oh, there we go. Apparently, you just have to push down in the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's again super interesting though, and I feel like this is one that had been kind of held hostage by someone had a copy of this that they were refusing to dump, and I don't know if Hidden Palace just ended up ponying up the money for it or if they found a different prototype, because that happens sometimes, right? Is like someone will have a prototype of a game that they refuse to allow to be dumped, and then because it's worth it'll destroy the value if I let people play this piece of gaming history to which I don't own the copyright anyways.
I mean, it's bullshit, but it's true that the value does go down after they get dumped, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my stance is generally just to not pay more than $100 for a video game, like ever under any circumstances. So
yeah, but it's not a video game, man. It's a whoa! I fell through the bottom of the world.
It's a real bad video game. It's a broken ass video game that's not finished yet. I mean, I've chipped in on helping games get bought or released or whatever. I kicked the Video Game History Foundation a few bucks, and I don't remember what they were gunning for, and I kicked some money to the Resident Evil Game Boy Color prototype thing.
Oh, yeah.
So like I mean, I'm all for that. Like if someone wants to get paid, like that's whatever, but like people crowdfunding buying an expensive prototype so they can dump it so that nobody's out like $4,000 or whatever is a thing that I'm very much into and I'm very happy to contribute to. So I think this is one such game where like someone was essentially like trying to act like they weren't holding it hostage, but basically they were. And again, I don't know if that person is who this was purchased from, or if this is a different cartridge that ended up being found and dumped subsequently. I kind of hope for the latter, because then that means that person
That asshole
didn't get the money and the value went down. so yeah, I don't know. These first person sequences look really rough though. Like it's hard to, since I'm not holding the controller, there are times when it is difficult for me to tell which direction you're turning.
There's like a little compass above the map.
Oh yeah, so there is. Okay.
So it's not.
I mean, it's more like an old RPG.
Yeah.
It's like Eye of the Beholder, basically. Like,
yeah.
it's in real time, but your movement's all grid based.
Yeah. So
Eye of the Beholder had turn-based battles, didn't it?
No. It was all in real time.
Really? Okay.
And that's not getting my games mixed up. But the first person one, it was on Super Nintendo also, but I played it on PC.
Yeah, it was
VGA graphics.
That one was on Super Nintendo also, yeah.
Looked good, but that game stressed me out when I was a kid.
Yeah, I played D&D with my friends. The same friends I actually play D&D with now, interestingly enough. When we were kids, and I would
Nerd alert.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm the only one on this Discord voice chat right now.
I don't think any of the rest of us play D&D, so...
Yeah, I've actually never played D&D.
Yep. See?
I messed
like
with
the
it when I
one
was a kid.
thing I've never done.
Yeah. The one thing, do you ever play Shadowrun or Vampire or any tabletop RPG, or you just...
Okay, so I guess...
resting on not D&D specifically.
I've only done...
I guess tabletop
my
RPGs
experience
is the one
with
thing I've never done.
D&D is playing it in video game form, which makes me cool.
Yeah, that I've done.
Right. Yes, of course. Silly of me. But I would always like rent the D&D games that are on NES and Super NES and stuff, and those ports.
Those
PC games are held in pretty high regard, like the Gold Box PC games. But all of the NES and Super NES and Genesis ports of them are fucking garbage.
Yeah.
So eventually I just gave up on playing D&D video games, and then that's like when they started getting like really good, and so like I never played Neverwinter Nights or Baldur's Gate or
I like the really
Planescape
old
Torment, and like all of those are the ones that people are like, those are like the best D&D games, and I'm like, well,
they're like the best games. It's like fuck
Dale.
D&D. Yeah. I said that.
I enjoyed the old school Gold Box D&D games. Build up a party, go fight some guys, get exploded by a fireball.
Yeah, they weren't good on NES though, or Super NES.
Yeah, even when I tried to go back to those when I was getting into PC games and like the early 2000s, they were pretty tough to go back to even then.
Yeah, I didn't play them in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I feel like mechanically old RPGs are sometimes
I mean, they're not that different than like the Baldur's Gate games, but they just don't have the writing, like the amount of story and character to get invested in the same way that those games do. So like
actually I did play a bit of
a little tough to get into, but...
I did play a bit of Dark Alliance on the PS2 co-op with a friend of mine, but that was more like Diablo.
Yeah,
that's an action game.
That's a pinata monster.
That game's great.
That game
is great. Yeah.
Sequel coming out.
Right. Sequel coming out to that. That's right.
I don't know how I feel.
There is a sequel already, technically.
And but I mean, there's there's
Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance too.
It added in like gems and stuff.
I think it was like
had like
was that like an
Xbox
Xbox
on your
game
items.
or something.
No, it was a PlayStation 2 game.
I never played it.
Key card.
It ran really, really badly.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, these you should try to go to a stage that is like not aimlessly wandering around a hospital.
I'm not aimlessly wandering around. I just found a key card, dude.
Mm-hmm. How did you find that key card?
Was
it by aimlessly wandering around,
examining my surroundings. In a meticulous
I guess if you just stare at the
fashion.
map, you can kind of sort of tell.
I mean, you know where you've been, where you haven't been. This looks like a wall I should be able to break or something.
Yeah, but this isn't a movie that I think you watch because the story is good. This is a movie you watch because it looks fucking amazing. And, you know, I don't think this is a video game that necessarily gets by on that same... Well, who knows? It's not finished, so I guess. But Black Pearl Software's track record would not indicate to me that the finished product would necessarily be something that...
What year is this supposed to be released in, do you know?
This prototype...
Like 92 or something.
This is earlier than the demo that was allegedly presented at the summer CES in 94. So this was like late 93, early 94, I guess, intended for release in 95.
Okay, 94, 95, you start to get some stuff that looks significantly better.
Oh yeah, the Genesis games and Super Nintendo games in 1994 and 1995 were
Much better than this.
considerably more impressive looking than.
Wow, this is a really big hospital, huh?
I mean, the cutscenes look pretty good in this. Like, that's pretty impressive. But I mean, Gunstar Heroes was
I not have key
94,
number?
right?
Sounds right.
See, I found the key and the door to use the key on, and I'm in a green hallway. And
Ooh,
you said you
green
didn't
hallway.
think anything interesting was gonna happen.
He's got a point, dude. You do look fucking stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm used to it. I mean, I've been seen in public with you before, Alex, so.
Hey.
That's not nice.
Yeah, that was mean.
They didn't even. They must not have gotten to the point in this area where they could like put stuff on the walls.
Yeah, I don't. There's some stuff that says like, the game is prone to crashing in level 2T.
Yeah, that happened.
The game freezes upon loading into the 5th stage.
Okay, well we'll see that here. Ooh, I found another key card. This one's gold, baby.
This is just like Doom.
It is.
Yeah. Just like it.
It's a Doom clone.
It is. I mean, for
What
these
do you-
stages,
there has to be. There's probably a Doom WAD that is like Akira based, right?
Oh, there's
sure.
probably like
100%.
30,000.
Come on, in the
Yeah.
90s,
in the 90s, they're
Forget
definitely.
about it.
Who knows how much of that stuff is preserved anywhere? But my favorite Doom wad as a kid was the one that both made the like monster deaths gorier.
You have to be more specific, but
so you mean like Brutal Doom?
Well, look, Brutal Doom is also harder, right? Isn't Brutal Doom is like different maps and more difficult?
I don't actually know. I just know that it's much more reactive and gross.
Right. No, this was just like the game was the same. The maps and enemy layouts were all still the same. It was just like when you killed like the zombie soldiers, they just like exploded into a pile of guts and shit instead of like, you know, just falling over dead.
it was like you always had the Berserk pack on, but
Kind of, yeah. But then it also changed a bunch of sound effects as WADs were, you know, wont to do, and replaced them with like, you know, voice lines from like Army of Darkness and Full Metal Jacket.
sure.
How do you guys feel about
You know,
video games?
Like you would pick up the Berserk pack and like Arlie Ermy would yell like, "Let me see your real war face,"
Right.
that kind of
Or
thing.
Duke Nukem would be like, I'm all out of gum.
Well, he just did
It's
that.
weird that
normally.
they made a video game about a guy trying to find some gum, but
Yeah,
But fuck it worked, man.
yeah, it did. That video game is pretty good, and among the
Sorry.
Doom clones, it's probably the best one.
Yeah, okay, I can get in on that.
found some fuel.
I mean, I liked Hexen quite a bit as well, but I think I like Duke Nukem 3D more than Hexen.
That's not that much of a stretch, I don't think.
The line scrolling effect in this stage is pretty impressive, to be honest. This is like sort of rudimentary 3D of the hallway.
Yeah, the items and stuff are like that too, like the
Yeah.
bullets.
Yeah.
Who the
Unfortunately,
hell are these guys? I don't remember this part at all.
these bullets?
Well, the little rocket sled thing is in the sewers, and so I think this is just supposed to be adjacent to when they're escaping in the sewers.
Yeah, you remember that
Yes.
scene where the two shirtless troglodytes wearing sunglasses drove the rocket sled through the
Flying
sewers?
around in like a
Yeah.
snowmobile with a Gatling gun.
Yeah. Well, that is a scene that happened. I mean,
It's
they
robot-
do fly
it's
around
not
in a
it's
snowmobile with a Gatling
Not
gun
a
in the movie.
snowmobile.
That
It's Robot
happens.
Garfield. Thank you very much.
That's
Oh, you know, if they could rotate it, yeah, I see how that would.
Whoa!
Yeah. Oh no, evil Garfield, Greenfield.
That's the evil Garfield. You're right. Let's see here. Olympic Bridge. Battle across the army-held lanes to the freezer site. Oh, wow. Well, I'm dead, I guess. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. Alright, up and down does that. Okay. Wow.
So now is this like an RPG or something, or?
I don't know what this is.
I mean, it's like an isometric. This has a very British feel to it.
It's like an
If I
isometric
can-
nightmare.
Yeah, well, they all. I mean, most isometric games of that era, especially,
I
are.
look at them just sliding around on the street. That does. I guess it wasn't finished.
No,
Yeah, it's not. It's not done.
I don't know why you would say that, Mike. I think this game might be better like this than if it actually was finished. Some avant-garde indie game stuff here going on.
Yeah, if it was finished, it'd just be a bad game. But now it's this weird thing.
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
I get
that's
it.
kind of true.
That's why, yeah, I get what Eric's thrown down. I agree.
Platform action.
Platform action.
Action.
Oh no.
That's a different game.
Elevator. I prefer
Elevator
elevator
action.
action to platform action. What is
Yeah,
happening?
same. I think the scrolling effect isn't finished. You're supposed to be standing on the platform at the bottom of the screen, and it's supposed to be
fighting these
moving up
guys.
the
Also,
fighting
like,
these guys.
I
and-
walked off the edge of the screen, and now it's just
and
like,
now you're just gone.
yeah, it's just like some trippy ass Sega Genesis Akira screensaver shit going on right now.
This looks like something you'd see on liquid television. Yeah, you know what I will say? The movie theater, my local nonprofit movie theater, showed Ninja Scroll as a midnight movie in the over the
God.
summer.
Is that the one with
And
all
that
the
movie-
exploding guys?
That's a piece of trash.
Well,
Yeah, that movie is something, all right.
that movie rules. It's like 80 minutes long, and half of it is just like dudes exploding into blood geysers. It's amazing. And all these weird. The character designs are really good, and the animation actually looks. I mean, it's like lovingly rendered blood geysers. And again, still in an era when almost everything was hand drawn. It was actually. I actually kind of went into it expecting to hate it, and I really had a lot of fun with it. I was like, this is actually aged a lot better than I expected.
I think it would actually age a lot worse than I would expect because it's like the one I remember seeing that movie and being like, man, this is pretty fucking sexist and bad, isn't it? And that was when I was like,
It's extremely fucking sexist. That
yeah.
There's no escaping that.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, it's anime in the 80s. Like you gotta like pick your That's
Right.
what, but that's what I mean. Like about like I feel like that would probably make it age even worse.
So definitely like those couple of sequences, like there are like at least 2 like pretty blatant sexual assaults, which is
Yeah.
like,
Well,
yeah, that's not good. But like, you know, the and like basically the way that the female lead is treated is like largely not great. She has a couple of like very good moments, but like for the most part she's not handled
Yep.
well.
Nope.
But there's still a bunch of fucking sick ass fight scenes with really interesting, cool looking, weird fucking monsters that are like very creative, and the choreography of all the fights and the way that they're animated and like all that shit is. I actually appreciate it more now, I think, because I have seen more films and more animation. Like, I don't think I totally appreciated it as like a 14-year-old who is just like, oh, this is like an edgy, violent cartoon. You know, but now I'm like, oh, this is an edgy, violent cartoon, but like it's a fucking extremely well done edgy, violent cartoon. And man, look at those hand-drawn blood geysers.
Hey, check out these scorpions.
I'm checking them out. Your score is locked at THX 1138, apparently.
That's cool.
So we've transitioned
so
this is a Genesis port, I guess, of the Super Nintendo Star Wars game.
Yep.
Another unreleased gem that was released by that same group of people.
So this was actually being ported internally by Sega, according to Hidden Palace, which is kind of interesting. U.S. Sega, not Japan Sega. And yeah, apparently there were only a couple of mentions, and I'm reading from the hiddenpalace.org entry. Which again, both of these games, like hiddenpalace.org dumped them. You can just go to hiddenpalace.org and download the ROMs right from there. Yeah, but it was done by Sega Interactive, who they're the same studio that did Green Dog.
Classic.
Classic.
Yeah,
Have we done Green Dog on this show yet?
I think is that the one we did and then lost?
No, that was Normie's Beach Babe-orama or whatever, which was featured in AGDQ this year, strangely enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's
it was during the awful games done quick.
That's the great lost episode of Genesis or Genesisn't.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sega was porting this internally, and I mean, this was being worked on. They quit development of this in '93. When did the original Super Star Wars trilogy come out on? So it sounds like they would have been if they would have gone through with it, maybe they would have been a year or maybe a year and a half behind the Super Nintendo versions, because Super Return of the Jedi came out on the Super NES in '95. And this is obviously like not done, so
why do you say that?
Just a guess.
Oh man, it's the jizz music.
So this is
I love jizz. I want to
Can't get enough of it.
Love it when
it's
it's
actually
in my ears.
dated. Jesus Christ. This prototype is actually dated, so we know that this build was
the way that jizz feels on my eardrums, Joe.
Oh boy.
Yep. January 25th, 1993 is the date stamp on this one. How does it play? Does it feel like? I mean, when's the last time you played Super Star Wars on the Super NES? I guess would be part of the question.
That long ago, it feels kind of like that. I mean, Luke's got a big weird lance instead of a lightsaber.
If you had been reading all the articles that came out after Rise of Skywalker, you know that a white lightsaber has very important meaning that nerds get extremely upset about.
You mean
was that also revealed in a Fortnite event, or is that
probably?
Talking about that movie, it makes me sad.
Fortnite.
Actually,
Fortnite the movie.
Yeah, the Fortnite movie was a real letdown.
Kurt and Anthony and Abby and I went to see a screening of the original Star Wars. It was a 4K scan of a 1977 35mm print.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
and actually the lightsabers at the Alamo. Sorry, I shouldn't say because it was a secret screening and they're not supposed to show it. So I actually shouldn't say where it was, but it was.
You saw it at Kurt's house on his laser.
Yes,
disc.
We saw it at Kurt's house. Kurt does have the laser disc.
I know he does.
That was
one of my great regrets is that we never went to Kurt's house and watched original Star Wars on Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Like dead.
On my deathbed, I'll be like, no.
Yeah, but I mean, there were a lot of times when we were all together near Kurt's house and could have done that and didn't.
We're told Kurt to bring his Laserdisc player to Anthony's house so we could watch Star Wars. But yeah, though actually Obi-Wan's lightsaber is basically white in the original. Yeah, like it's supposed to be bluish, but it doesn't really read. It looks white in the original untouched, unmolested.
Blue,
well, that's because probably by the
time
in the versions that because by the time I think
saw
it was
in
coming
the
on
late
VHS,
80s or the
they
early 90s.
they were already making alterations to those movies, that early. But yeah, it looked pretty white with like a very vague blue tint in that scan of the 1977.
Also, is it possible that could have just been really faded? Like some of the effects could have faded.
I mean, that's possible, but the print otherwise looked really good. Like there wasn't a bunch of scratches and gouges. It didn't look faded or discolored.
Something about the ink, like the whatever that they used to produce the glowy lightsaber effect doesn't survive time on a 35mm print.
Yeah, they were still hand painting this, just like in the 20s when they hand painted black and white film to get color. That's what they did.
Yeah. But anyway,
Star
that's yellow lightsaber and not white lightsaber anyway. So
Yeah.
I had an
So,
orange
this looks
lightsaber.
like it's kind of
little chunky. Yeah.
Which is kind of strange for Genesis.
I mean, it's not done.
It's
so.
not done. So
It's
I
just
recently did a
still
video
just
about
playing
the
jizz music also. Even though
They know what the people want.
they want jizz.
no jizz,
The people have spoken, and they would like some jizz, please.
like jizz.
Yeah, are there different flavors of jizz in the Star Wars? Like, is there like smooth jizz?
Yeah, there's like bebop jizz, smooth bitch,
Hard jizz.
hard jizz. Yeah.
Acid
don't want-
Fusion,
jizz.
jizz fusion, I think is my favorite.
Yeah, no one likes that.
But they like acid jizz.
I mean, I think by
You
its
can
very
already
nature,
headspace for it, sure.
or is it basic more?
Get your head in the right place for the acid jizz.
Yeah.
You guys
Did the
smoke a lot
sand
of
people
weed.
fly away when you hit them in the Super Nintendo version?
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've played this.
This game is the Super Nintendo version of this game anyway is fucking brutally difficult. And
Is the first one super hard, or is that to save that for the sequels?
I think they're all pretty fucking difficult. I don't remember getting very far in them when I played them way back in the day.
Blackbird_Rue suggests that the issue might be with the emulator because in
be.
some YouTube videos the gameplay is smoother. So
Okay.
are you still using Kega? 'Cause,
Yeah, this is just Kega Fusion.
yeah,
So.
Kega hasn't been updated in a minute, but you should actually, if you have time to try to set it up, you should check out Blastum because that's like a
Yeah,
more
I know
recent
there's
and
better
very
ones out there. This one is just like convenient,
inertia.
right? It's the
Um,
same reason I'm still use Nestopia when I play Nintendo games.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're not
I'm
still using
emul-
Hastical.
Yeah, I'm emulating like it's 1999.
Well, Kega's newer than that, but
Yeah.
Kega used to be the top of the line Genesis.
Yeah, like
Sega
10 years
CD
ago.
32X emulator. Yeah. But
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because this is not like a. It just doesn't matter.
right. But speaking of slowdown, I did a video about the SA1 hacks for Gradius 3 and Contra 3. As you guys know, because you helped me capture the multiplayer Contra footage.
Oh, is that what we were doing?
That's what we were doing.
I thought we were just having fun
And-
playing Contra.
Well, I mean, we were. It's multitasking.
You were having fun playing Contra. I was working.
But man, people got opinions about that. Let me tell you.
What's that?
I've gotten some YouTube comments.
Why?
So my
cares?
favorite one so far is the guy who said that Vitor, who runs a website called SNESLab.com,
Okay.
is an angry Genesis fanboy who just did the hack so that he could prove blast processing on the Genesis was real, which is just as incoherent as it sounds.
What? I mean, probably the thing that I would do if I wanted to shit on the Super Nintendo would be start a Super
Just to
Nintendo
play Gradius
website.
3 as it exists.
Right.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you definitely start a website called SNES Lab where you dedicate tireless off work hours to like doing Super Nintendo related projects, right? That's what you'd do if you were an angry Genesis fanboy who hated the Super Nintendo.
I don't really understand. I don't even know like what was that person mad about exactly.
The slowdown in Gradius 3 apparently is worse in emulators than it is on real hardware, which is 1000% not true, by the way. In fact, because emulators often don't emulate the hardware correctly,
Right.
sometimes
A lot
they
of times-
eliminate the
right, I was gonna
slowdown.
say, especially in Nintendo games,
Um,
they get rid of the flashing and the sprite
Right.
flickering and all that stuff a lot of times.
yeah, so which of course, like I was just like, well, you can look at the video I did about Gradius 3 where I compared the arcade to the Super Nintendo, and that was all captured on real hardware, and let me know that the slowdown is actually not that bad on real hardware.
But also, who cares at this
people
point?
People get weirdly defensive about stuff.
25
like,
fucking years ago.
Fucking cares.
Right, because it's like I'm not. The point of the video was not to say like Gradius 3 is actually trash because it has a bunch of slowdown. It was just to say, hey, someone did this cool thing, that is fun and interesting. And if you like these kind of games and you've always kind of wanted to maybe take it to another level, especially Gradius 3, because Gradius 3 actually gets a lot harder when you take the slowdown out of it.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot tougher to, like I had so much trouble getting past the first boss, more than and I'm like pretty familiar with the Super Nintendo version of that game. Like I've been playing it for almost 30 years, and I was like, I'm really having problems getting past the first boss because now everything moves way faster.
Listen, I know that John Williams has been nominated for like 50 Oscars and has done soundtracks to many, many movies. Many of the greatest movies of all time. But this Sega Genesis fucking like 2-channel like fucking terrible sounding version of the jizz music is definitely his greatest accomplishment, because I assume that he was the one that put this together.
I assume they actually got John Williams to do the music for the Genesis.
He played it on his Casio keyboard, and then
definitely. Yeah, but there have been a bunch of people getting weird. Like there was one guy who was like the slowdown isn't
slower.
Actually.
Every time I get, like every level I go in, it gets slower and slower.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like one guy was talking about how like the slowdown wasn't that bad and nobody noticed it until this improvement patch, and I was like, dude, reviews at the time talked about how bad the slowdown in this game was. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, again, like, what is your personal stake in whether Gradius 3 slows down or not? Like, like it's weird. People fixate on weird things. Because again, the point of the video is just like, here's a cool fan project.
Go check it out. If you like Gradius 3, you can play it without any slowdown. Also,
right.
Like the game is okay with slowdown anyways, but you can play it without it if you want.
Right.
Everything has to be a fucking judgment all the time.
Right. And I very clearly don't. I mean, I even go out of my way to say, like, I still like this game. This is just like a new way to play a thing that maybe you've played 100 times, and now, seeing it run this way,
But it's different. Cool. I don't like it.
Interesting. I mean, that's fine. I mean, people saying like, I'm not interested in playing this because I want to play the game as it originally was like presented. Like, I totally get that. That's fine. But
get out your Super Nintendo and fucking go play it that way.
There's like a couple people who are like angry that this exists, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, okay.
Yeah, it's not the
thing. It is weird that people are angry on the internet. That's really strange.
I mean,
that's kind of what I'm trying to do here.
It remains strange though, right? Because it's like the most minuscule.
Yeah, but people are stupid and just
literally
don't think
has
about
no effect on your life whatsoever.
Right.
That
literally
exists.
has no effect on your life whatsoever, and like,
it's all right, Joe.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I just mostly think it's funny because it's just like you're really this invested. Like this is just,
yeah,
like wow, man. Okay, sure. Whatever.
This is an exercise video.
Yeah, this is
bounce your head, and it's like a Kempo. What was the
Taibo?
Yeah, it's a Taibo workout video.
Billy Blanks, the inspiration for DJ in Street Fighter. Speaking of unreleased games,
DJ? Wow.
No, I think Taibo happened after, but Billy Blanks was a martial arts.
The Taibo guy
star.
happened before.
The Taibo guy happened before. Yes. Yeah, he was in a lot of like direct-to-video, like low-budget action movies. He was in King of the Kickboxers with Lauren Avedon, and he was in.
Apparently, the slowdown was an effect of using like this in-stage stage skip thing.
Maybe it's
Because
possible.
I reset the thing and then now it's everything.
And then now it's not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in a Roddy Piper movie or two. Billy Blanks was before.
I'm sorry, there were
was Tybo
several
guy.
Roddy Piper movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a shitload of Roddy Piper movies. Are you kidding?
Welcome to Frogtown.
Hell comes to
Hell comes
Frogtown.
to
Hell.
Because his name is like John Hell or whatever, right? So,
And he goes to Frogtown.
Immortal
Frog.
Combat.
That's
That was a Roddy Piper movie.
The Deaf Droid level. It's my favorite.
Russell Simmons shows up with
Yeah,
C-3PO.
Russell Simmons shows up
And-
and starts a robot rap label.
Yep. But in the realm of unreleased games, there was some what I thought was pretty awesome news today that came around,
Okay.
which is that the Kunio-kun
Apparently
Classics...
this level's not in the game. Because if you do it just said side-scrolling rescue of Princess Leia. and
Yeah,
then it
there
goes
was a
back to
note
the game.
about that on the Hidden Palace entry that some levels it's just a text thing that says like this goes here. Scene missing, right? So the Kunio-kun The World Classics collection, which came out in Japan at the very tail end of 2018, is getting a US release. And along with that are the official English language releases of 11 Famicom Kunio games that had never been localized into English officially before, and some of them even don't have fan translations or not very good ones. So like Kunio Basketball and Kunio Hockey
That's cool.
and the River City Ransom sequel that takes place in like medieval Japan. Like
Is that
all
a
of
Famicom
those...
game or a?
That's a Famicom game. There's a Game Boy version too, but it's a Famicom game. Kunio, what is it? Neketsu Special Jitageki something Zenin Shugo, which is like, Downtown Special Kunio's Japanese period piece play. All members come join or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You heard him.
Exactly.
Come join. Are you a member or not?
I'm not sure. Oh, what's up, Diablos?
So yeah, I mean that one is the one that's kind of the most. There is a fan translation of that one and has been for a while, but it's cool that that's getting an official US release, because that's like a pretty text heavy game, and the ROM was out there for a very long time without a translation patch, and people would kind of muddle through it, but having a better sense of everything. And also apparently they're retranslating like the other, so like you can play River City Ransom as it exists, but also you can play Downtown Neketsu Monogatari in English with them in like their schoolboy uniforms and everything, with like a new translation, I guess.
Okay, but they're gonna take Barf out, and then everyone's gonna go nuts.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but you can still just play regular River City Ransom if that is the case.
Yeah, but if there's a different version of a game that I
Oh.
like that's not the way I want it to be, Joe, I get real mad.
Yeah, well, I know you're
My
you're
name
such
is
an angry.
Internet.
You're so angry, Mike.
That's why they call me Angry Mike.
Yeah, right.
That should be your new YouTube persona, Mike.
I mean,
My
also,
what?
That's your
feel
new
like-
YouTube persona, Angry
Oh,
Mike.
Angry Mike.
That's- you
I
have
think
a lot
YouTube's
of
got
views
plenty of
on
angry
YouTube.
people to start
No,
already.
there's always been plenty.
there's already an angry Joe. Otherwise, I would, try to take up that mantle. But, yeah. But I mean, also like, Arc System Works and various adjacent people have done other Kunio games since then, and they almost all include Barf. So I feel like if they retranslated,
Thank God, that's a
Yeah.
selling point.
There's a lot of Star Wars games,
If
and they
they-
all include jizz.
yeah. So I think if you were to retranslate that game, you would know to whatever the word was in Japanese, you would just retranslate it to barf, even if that's not completely correct, because that's what
Right.
the wants.
Gotta give the fans what they want.
You got to
Mhm.
give
What they want is someone yelling barf when they get punched in the face.
And a bunch of change falling out of their pocket.
And a bunch of change. Well, that's in the game no matter what, right? So,
Again, it better be.
well, unless they fundamentally changed the game beyond just translating it into English, I think the change falling out of their pockets is still going to be in there because that's sort of like an integral mechanic in that game. Are you trying to find out if you can die, or you?
No, I was just looking at the. I was looking
Wikipedia
at
page for jizz music. The Wikipedia page for jizz music.
No, I was looking at Hidden Palace to see if there was anything else.
Oh, they dumped a whole bunch of stuff right before Christmas, right around Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah,
but I
it's
think
mostly
these two were the ones.
Yeah,
that
it's
were
mostly like prototypes for like Echo the
of
Dolphin
games that were already out.
Yeah, there's stuff that's not.
Oh, I'm
really
gonna die.
interesting to me.
I mean, Flintstones.
Yeah, I guess so.
Was that a Genesis game or was that something?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is the Mega Drive Flintstones game. Taito. Oh, this game was released though. It's a prototype of the game.
Video game, right?
The commercial release ended up being canceled, but saw. Oh no, wait. The commercial release ended up being canceled, but saw a very limited release on the Sega Channel.
Okay, I mean we can play that.
Okay.
Or should we save it for another episode?
Let's save it for next week, maybe. Speaking of that, did you guys see that the Super Nintendo version of Punky Skunk for the PlayStation was found and dumped?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did, but I don't really know what those words mean when you put them all together like that.
Punky Skunk was kind of like one of the last gasp of the mascot platformer. Came out on the PlayStation. But it started life as a Super NES game, and it was finished, but it was never released. But there was a demo released on the Satellaview in Japan. So somebody found a Satellaview cartridge that had the demo saved on it, and then it turned out that if you hacked it, there've been other demos like this. Like there was a magazine demo for. It was either KO Flying Squadron or Popful Mail, and I can't remember which now. But there was a British magazine demo on like a packed-in disc for either Popful Mail or KO Flying Squadron. That there was a way around it that the whole game was actually in there. It wasn't just
nice.
a demo level, and that was the same thing with this Punky Skunk demo on the Satellaview. The whole game was in there. You just couldn't access it by default, but immediately someone hacked it, and so now you can play the whole unreleased version of Punky Skunk, or as it was in Japan, it was called Coolie Skunk. But you can play the whole thing.
Punk is someone who's cool, right?
Yeah, I guess. Ice cold. Anyways, so that was like an interesting find because I think people were kind of thought that might be one that was going to be lost forever, and John Linneman at Digital Foundry did like a really good rundown on it and sort of went over kind of a little bit how different it was from the. Like it seems like it's pretty different from the PlayStation version. I think it's pretty significantly different from the PlayStation version. Are we comparing now to the actual Super Nintendo version of Super Star Wars? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, we're still chit-chatting, so.
Yeah, no.
This Genesis isn't the Genesis game?
No, it's not. But, this is like a supplementary episode.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a cool thing. I mean, I really like it when this stuff finds its way out, into the wild.
Me too.
It's sort of interesting to see what could have been, and it's also like the part of the thing that I found confusing is I was like, wait, wasn't Punky Skunk a Super Nintendo game like as it was? And it was so at the end of that mascot platformer thing, and it was a 2D platformer, so I kind of just
assumed it
in my brain thought it was a Super Nintendo game, but it's not. It's a PS1 game. Like, because I remembered that this was a thing that existed, and I remembered sort of writing it off in my brain as like a, this is probably just another like Awesome Possum, Bubsy the Bobcat, like just a trash.
How dare you?
Platformer.
How dare you shit talk Awesome Possum?
I thought you were gonna say Bubsy.
Bubsy sucks. Nah, they just suck.
I mean, the first Bubsy isn't. I think the first Bubsy gets more shit than it probably deserves, but that doesn't mean it's good.
It's a bad video game.
It's a
just
bad
like the
game.
one that people latched onto for some reason.
there are worse games, I guess is what I'm like. People act like Bubsy, the original Bubsy, is this like it's as bad as Bubsy 3D on the PS1, and it's the biggest problem with
I think you
Bubsy,
mean the
honestly,
Atari
is that
Jaguar.
you fractured furry tails.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with Bubsy on the original, the first Bubsy, I guess, and it's the subsequent ones to a lesser extent, although I think that like those games are worse in general, is that you die in one hit, and there's no way to like. There's not like a Sonic get rings or a Mario like Super Mushroom. Like you just die in one hit all the time, no matter what. In Bubsy,
Also, those
and
games
that
have
kind of
those kind of
sucks.
like weird maze level design that I don't really care for.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I mean, that's just like there's a lot of old 16 and 8-bit platformers that are like that, and that's just I don't know. That's not great.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Anyways.
But apparently, Punky Skunk is actually pretty good, and now I'm
Okay.
kind of interested to play it. So, that was also like the dying gasp of Jalico. Like it wasn't developed by them, but it was published by Jalico in the U.S. and they
That's
like it
fun.
was just their. It was, that had to be very close to the end for them because they didn't last very long into the PS1 era that I recall.
Nope.
So, yeah, a lot of stuff. But what I'm curious about with this Cuneo collection is like I imported the physical version, and I also imported around the same time the Capcom Belt Action Collection, which is the beat 'em up bundle, the Japanese version of the beat 'em up bundle. It's only got a physical release in Japan. And with that game, when I put it in my Switch is set to English, so it just like automatically loads basically the English version of the game. And I'm wondering if the Cuneo collection is gonna like once the US version is out, will there be an update? And then when I load the game on my Switch, will it just load up the English version with all the English versions of the games, or do I have to rebuy it?
Probably have to rebuy it.
I mean, that's
Depends whether it's a separate title or not, right? If it's
right.
an update,
That's the thing. If they're
it's just
treating
an update, you'll get it, and if it's not, then you'll have to rebuy it.
yeah, because the version that I have actually a lot like all the menus and stuff. Because my system is in English, all the menus and shit are in English in the version I have. Just none of the games are because there is no English version. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will rebuy it if. I mean,
I'm just assuming that's the one that is like they can get more money. You know what I mean?
but how many people imported it? Do you think? Like, is it a significant enough number that it's like they
That's
really
fair.
need the double dip from like all 20 of us who imported the Japanese version?
Yeah, fuck the 20.
You know.
Give us your money.
I honestly don't know. Like, I wouldn't have assumed that would happen with the Capcom collection. I mean, I know that the Japanese ROMs are in the English version, so I assumed that the English ROMs were in the
Yeah, I mean, if there's one
Japanese
thing we know about
version.
Capcom is that they love to fucking try and siphon money off of people in as many different ways as possible. So,
I mean, most publishers do at this point, right? But
I would say few of them are as customer unfriendly as Capcom is.
I mean, EA and Activision are considerably more.
I didn't say none. I
think.
said few. Hey, Alex, how was Street Fighter V going?
That game's fucking trash. I spent like a lot of money on it.
Yep.
It's okay. It's my own fault.
Couldn't you have just waited until like the definitive arcade edition or whatever?
You know what? Why don't you shut up, Joe?
I don't
How's
think that even exists yet, does it? Or is it now?
No, it's out. Yeah,
It's out. Yeah. I mean, on their fighting games, but like even isn't it Killer Instinct on the Xbox One where you have to like it comes with like one character
free to play,
and then you have to
though.
buy.
That's free to play.
It's free though.
That's
like you can
different,
get 4 characters for free, and then
that's the model. That's
Right.
like League of Legends and Dota and shit like that. Well, Dota you think you have to buy it, but
no,
League of
Dota's
Legends.
everything is free in Dota except for cosmetics. In Dota 2? Yeah, everything in Dota 2 is just the game except for the cosmetics, which those are what you have to pay for. You have to buy keys and hats and stuff. It's like Team Fortress 2.
Speaking of that, I read that apparently there's an update to to Warcraft 3.
Oh yeah.
That like if you connect your old version to BattleNet, it overtakes you. Like it kills your original version, and overwrites it with the new version, which people are
Yeah,
like
it's-
not stoked about at all.
I think
There's
we
a lot
can.
of shit with that game that people are not
I
stoked
think we
about.
can officially declare old Blizzard is dead now, and it's
Yeah.
just Activision.
It kind of feels like it.
Between the Hearthstone stuff and
Yeah.
like the only team at Blizzard that I still have any trust or affection for at this point is the Overwatch team, and we'll see how
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 turns out, because like either they do something interesting with the like
The campaign missions that they're kind of putting together.
the co-op stuff, or that's just like it for Blizzard. Like Blizzard, like if that's not good, then Blizzard is in the same place that fucking BioWare is at this point, and that's a fucking shame.
Company that made good games 10 years ago.
Right. I mean, Overwatch came out 4 years ago.
Overwatch, yeah,
Right.
4 years. Overwatch was good.
Overwatch was great, but Hearthstone was really good up until just a few years ago as well, but that's been a kind of a disaster for the last couple of years. The last few, I mean, aside from
playing it on my couch 2 weeks ago.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's just
Addiction is a real thing. Joe.
Right. That is the only game that's on my phone. So, and there's still nothing else that is like when you spent like 1,000 hours playing a video game, it's kind of like I'm talking more about like the.
I'm not sure there is a video game I've spent 1,000 hours playing.
There's 3, and 2 of them are Blizzard games. So.
I don't know. You could. I mean, isn't the Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering?
I fucking hate the way. I don't like the way
Okay.
Magic works. I hate the fact that you don't get to control your creatures. And so there are other like Hearthstone.
Have the
What do you
rules
mean you don't get
changed
to
in
control your
Magic
creatures?
since I
No.
last
You
played?
can't. So you
'Cause-
can't make your creatures attack like other creatures. You right? You don't have direct control over what your creatures do.
Remember, I mean, they attack the other player,
Right, and then
They
you would
attack
put
the
up
other player, and they
defense that
declare blockers.
they can block.
Right.
Yeah,
It's-
right, they got
So
some
in Hearthstone,
blockers.
it's direct attack and control. Like you put a creature on the board, and then you get to choose what other player's minion you want to attack, or what if you want to attack the other player's face or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I guess I could. I mean,
The best thing
I don't
about
care for the way Magic is. I mean, like I'm just saying that like the constructed meta has been nobody's been happy with that in 2 or 3 years, and the arena meta is up and down, which is what I play, but it's still the only thing like it. So that's what I'm still playing. But I also I haven't paid anything to play Hearthstone in probably 5 years, probably like 3 or 4 years. So it's fine.
yeah.
And also, they
if
introduced a new
it's-
mode this year that was actually like an auto battler that was actually pretty good. As far as those
Is the
things
Tavern
go.
Brawl still a thing, or is that gone
Yeah,
now?
no, that's still around, but they haven't done anything interesting with that in a long time. But look, man, you got to take a poop, and you need to kill 10 minutes. Playing a game of Arena is a pretty good way to do it.
You could always go back to WWE Supercard.
I can't, because that's not really a video game.
No,
you
it's
don't actually
right.
do
It's a Skinner
anything.
box with a
Right.
wrestling.
You
with
don't actually do
wrestling
anything
on
in that
top
game.
of it.
Yeah. I know there's some other card games that are out there, but I always want to see what's the Chillwind Yeti. What's his place in the meta every time around? I need to know.
I really wish SNK would make another like a good card fighters game, because the Neo Geo Pocket one, like I didn't play it until I had a Neo Geo Pocket, which is like 7 or 8 years ago is when I got my Neo Geo Pocket, and then I really got into it a couple years after that and decided like I'm gonna knuckle down and really like play this card fighters game that people like, and I really liked it. Like it's aged really well, but apparently the DS version is fucking trash, and I haven't played it. But I really feel like if Capcom and SNK could get together, again for a minute, like I feel like that's like a good mobile game waiting to happen, like a good free to play.
Yeah.
Well, are
something
you
like-
familiar
Because
with
that weird
Capcom's-
Capcom thing, Teppen came out.
Teppen, yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. They already have that. They have their own thing.
Yeah, but who the fuck cares about Teppen? Do people
Um,
care?
Apparently, people do. I don't know.
Say it's
Yeah.
not bad.
Fairly
I
Yeah.
think I heard
popular.
about it when it first came out, and I haven't heard a peep about it from anybody since. But
So
maybe
the
it's
only
just
thing I've ever
people
heard about it is I
That's it.
follow people who play Street Fighter because I like Street Fighter. And a lot of them, since they're like Capcom fans, play it. So, but the people who've been playing it have been like been playing it the whole time. You know what I mean? The people who are still playing it, you get what I'm saying. Words are hard.
So it's like, I mean, it's just like a Capcom fan servicey card game thing, right?
It's like a card game thing. It's like there's like 3 lanes. There's like a top, middle, and bottom, and then like you.
So it's Dota and a card game in one.
Kind of, sort of. It's like your guys like auto attack, kind of, but like.
But like, are your guys?
It's a Dota auto chess.
Like, are your guys?
I don't really
like
know.
Ken and Mega Man and Zero?
Yeah.
And,
well, you're like your cards are things, but you also like have like a sort of like how you have a character class in Hearthstone. You have like, oh, this is my Ryu deck, and like Ryu has like a special power. He can throw a Hadouken every once in a while and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, so it is. It's very fan servicey on top. Like the.
Oh, it's
like
all
Sega...
every card is like Resident Evil or Morrigan's tits or like like something. Like,
all of your favorite
Monster
Capcom
Hunter.
characters.
Tyrant's
Chumley's
tits.
thighs.
There is Monster Hunter stuff in there, yeah, which is funny.
Of course there is. Monster Hunter World is the best-selling game in Capcom history.
I know.
So.
It's fucking funny. It's
a
good game.
I was gonna say, I don't know why that's particularly funny. Everybody I knew, including myself, played it. So
it's just weird to me that like as someone who's been playing Monster Hunter for a long time, that like this is the one that like is Capcom's best-selling game. It's like a really good Monster Hunter game. It's not my favorite even, but it's really good. And then it's like
it's more accessible than early.
Oh, it's absolutely
early entries, right? So
anyway, I want to start playing this game, so I'm gonna end this.
Okay. All right.
Sounds
good. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back next week with the Sticky Awards. Actually, we'll be back with our annual look back at the year that was.
Dude.
So Mike's on the Sticky Icky right now to get ready for the Sticky Awards, apparently. So, but it's legal in Canada, so it's fine.
Not the way I do it.
Well, I won't tell the police.
Yeah, I won't tell the Mounties. Although I'm told they always get their man.
I've heard that.
And then they zap you with a cattle prod.
It's true.
That's my understanding.
That's what they say. That's all true. All right, that's it. We'll
Is that a Star Wars reference to close out the Star Wars?
No, that's a wrestling reference.
Oh, okay.
The Mounties listen to a lot of jizz when they're riding through the frozen tundra on their horses. Anyway, that's
they just can't get enough of that jizz.
Nope. All right,
I mean, me neither. I don't blame them.
In my ears,
it's good music.